So what will you learn from this course? Well, we'll start with a basic introduction to risk reporting, what it is, how it works, where it fits into a standard risk management process. And we'll cover some key definitions, because there's quite a number of complex terms that perhaps you need to understand, including things like risk appetite, key risk indicators, quantitative modelling. All of these sort of terms sort of come within the field of risk reporting. We'll then move on to explore some key issues in risk reporting. So we'll begin to build on those basic concepts to explore risk reporting in a more advanced sense. And we'll explore a number of issues, for example, whether to report using quantitative data or more qualitative sort of data, so using either sort of numbers or pictures to report risk. What does a good report look like? What different audiences require in terms of risk reporting. It's rare to have one report that covers everything for all people in an organisation. So we'll look at different examples of different types of report. We'll look at where things like risk appetite and risk culture fit into risk reporting as well. As we're seeing now in many organisations, they're trying to spend more time understanding things like the culture of the organisation and how that can affect risk exposure and risk management decisions. So we're looking at reporting some of those more difficult concepts as well, like risk culture. And we'll also explore the role that things like risk appetite have to play in risk reporting. Risk reporting per se, on its own, it rarely is that meaningful to an organisation. You've got to understand, of course, which are the key risks, which are the risks you need to worry about now, and which are the risks you perhaps don't worry about so immediately. And concepts like risk appetite help us to, if you like, have a kind of barometer of risk, so we can understand what's increasing, what's reducing, what we need to do about it. And finally, we'll look at some issues around sort of, if you like, risk reporting into the future. So we'll look into our crystal ball and explore how risk reporting may develop in the future. And there's all sorts of exciting developments in this area, a lot of which come linked to, obviously, improvements in information technology. The course in itself is not a technical IT course, but we'll look at, for example, artificial intelligence reporting systems, almost like the development of heads-up displays for risk managers. So we'll be looking into the future as well to see how risk reporting may change. So how will you learn, and how will you apply that learning after the day has finished? Well, risk reporting is, most of all, a practical subject. You learn best, I think, in areas like risk reporting by either doing or at least by learning from work that has been done for other people. So there will be a strong emphasis in the day on practical activities, participatory activities. I will try and keep the level of the level of theory to an absolute minimum. There's a need for a little bit of that to just get the kind of basics in place, but we'll move quickly to applying that learning. We'll look at practical examples of risk reporting. I'll invite you to share your own experiences in your own organisations around risk reporting, what has worked, what hasn't worked so well. We'll look at some case studies, some examples of organisations that have perhaps benefited from good reporting and those that have perhaps not had such effective reporting. We'll also have a very strong emphasis on kind of interaction, in-class discussion, in-session discussion. So again, you're able to really get what you need to get from the day. What will happen afterwards? Well, I always like to end each session, each individual session, with some key takeaways for you, some key questions that you need to perhaps take away to your own organisations to reflect on your practice. And you'll be very much encouraged to reflect on your existing reporting arrangements, what has worked for you, what hasn't worked so well, what are you going to do differently. And there'll be ample opportunity in the session to reflect on that. And also afterwards, I'm always very happy to talk to people further about what they're doing and what has worked well and what has not done so well. So you'll have access to me to discuss things after the day has ended as well.